On the night of October 20th, 2021, two young couples decided to take a weekend trip to a secluded cabin deep in the woods of North Carolina. Rachel, 18-year-old, and her fiancé, Chris, 25, were excited to get away with their friends, Autumn and Jake. They packed their bags, loaded up the car, and set off for what was supposed to be a relaxing escape from the city. The drive was long but scenic. As they left the bright city lights behind, the conversation shifted to something more eerie. Chris had been reading about recent sightings of a black panther in the area, a creature that shouldn't even exist there. "I swear I saw it last week," he insisted. "It was watching me from the trees when I took the dog out." Jake chuckled, but glanced out the window uneasily. "Man, you probably saw a big dog or something. Big enough to make me carry my gun everywhere now," Chris muttered. Rachel rolled her eyes. "Oh, please, you're being dramatic." As dusk settled in, they reached the area where they had to park, about 1.5 miles away from the cabin due to the rough terrain. They grabbed their bags and flashlights and began their trek through the thick woods. The leaves crunched underfoot, and the towering trees cast long, eerie shadows. The distant hooting of an owl and the constant chirping of crickets filled the air, creating an unsettling soundtrack to their walk. Halfway there, Autumn nudged Rachel and whispered something in her ear, causing them both to burst into laughter. Chris turned around with a confused smirk. "What's so funny?" Rachel grinned and waved him off. "You wouldn't get it." The laughter was a welcome relief from the eerie setting, but as they continued walking, the humor faded into quiet unease. The dense woods seemed to swallow their voices, and every step felt heavier as the night deepened. By the time they reached the cabin, darkness had completely fallen. Chris was looking around nervously and couldn't wait to get in. Once inside, they lit a fire and started unpacking. The topic of the Black Panther came up again, with Chris insisting on its existence and Jake playfully mocking him. Autumn shivered. "Whether it's real or not, the idea of something that big stalking these woods freaks me out." Rachel was excited to cook a special meal, shrimp and grit, a southern favorite. But just as she was about to start, she realized something. "Damn it, my recipe is saved on my phone, and my phone's dead." "Use my charger," Autumn offered. "None of your charge fit my phone, and I left mine in the car." Rachel sighed. Chris immediately tensed. "Are you serious?" He glanced out the window into the pitch-black forest. "Just make something else." "I can't. I brought ingredients for shrimp and grits, and that was the plan." "I just need to check the steps," Rachel insisted. Chris hesitated, clearly uneasy. "It's late. It's a long walk back." Rachel pouted. "Please, babe. I really wanted to make this meal." Jake shrugged. "I don't mind going with you." Chris exhaled sharply, reluctant but outnumbered. He grabbed his flashlight and weapon. "Fine. I'll go get it." Stepping outside, the cold night air was heavier than before. The two men started walking, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. The path seemed different now, more suffocating. They walked in silence, staying alert. Every snap of a twig or rustle of leaves put them on edge. The night sounds grew louder, the insects' droning hum, distant hooting of an owl pressing into their ears. Halfway down the trail, Chris suddenly stopped, throwing an arm in front of Jake. "Did you hear that?" A faint shuffling noise came from the underbrush. Jake aimed his flashlight. Chris, pointing his weapon, ready to shoot two glowing eyes, reflected back at them. Their hearts pounded. Chris was about to fire when a baby fox darted out and disappeared into the trees. They let out nervous laughs, shaking their heads at themselves. "Jesus, we're jumpy," Jake muttered. Once they reached the car, they quickly grabbed the Charger and started heading back. But something felt off. The air was heavier. The forest, once alive with the chirping of crickets, had fallen into an eerie silence. Even the wind had stilled. Then a twig snapped. But this wasn't like before. This time, the crack was sharp and deliberate, the kind that only something big could make. The air seemed to tighten around them as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Jake swung the flashlight toward the sound. The bushes shuddered violently. Then came the growl. Low, raspy, unmistakably predatory. The men froze, their breath caught in their throats. Chris whispered, "That's Noah Fox." Jake reached for his gun. The bushes trembled again, as if whatever was inside was coiling to strike. Chris didn't wait. He fired. Gunshots ripped through the silence, echoing through the trees, unloading round after round. Then, a horrified scream. The men froze. The realization of what just happened was instant and gut-wrenching. It was not the panther. Earlier, while the guys had been gone, Rachel and Autumn had come up with a prank. They found a carton of expired eggs in the fridge and decided it would be hilarious to hide in the bushes and pelt the guys as they walked by. But as Rachel crouched down, she stepped on a twig. Right at that time, Autumn bent down and farted, and both were going to burst into laughter, but they tried to stifle their laughter. But Rachel's attempt resulted in a muffled, raspy snort, a sound that, in the stillness of the night, mimicked something monstrous. Chris and Jake had assumed the worst. By the time they realized their mistake, Rachel was already on the ground, motionless. Autumn's screams cut through the night as Chris collapsed beside Rachel, his mind unable to process the horror of what he had done. Law enforcement ruled the shooting an accident. The men had been sober, legally armed, and had genuinely believed they were in danger. No charges were filed. To this day, no one has ever found solid proof that the Black Panther ever existed. That's it for today. If you love true crime, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case full of twists and turns.